Good evening, sim racing fans across the globe, and as we get set to roll, it's the second to last race to make the chase here for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series as we welcome you to the Inside Sim Racing Broadcast Tower and LSRTV for tonight's running of the Southern 200 at the Darlington Raceway. Monday leading into Labor Day weekend means a lot of throwback schemes and probably a lot of throwback tempers to some rivalries that maybe are going to be settled from the beginning of the year tonight, or maybe a driver breaking out and picking up a win that we don't quite expect. Either way, we know there's going to be a lot of storylines, and we're glad you're here with us. Jacob Seelman leading the call, along with Evan Pasoko and Brian Macklin here at Darlington Raceway for LSRTV. This race always unpredictable, and Evan, it was a race that was won last year by the driver who leads the points in the regular season coming into tonight. Dwayne Vincent's number 13 car has been the dominant car this season, but he's not been to victory lane. He'd like to change that, and this is one of his best tracks on the entire service. He'd like nothing more than to go to victory lane tonight.
And he could very well do so, as you talked about winning this race back in 2014. But the good news for him is something that we've been talking about all year is because of the fact that he had not had that win, he was still in a situation where if we got a bunch of first-time winners on the season, he might not make the chase. Well, that's exactly what we've seen. We've seen a lot of guys the last couple of weeks get their first wins, but good news is that he's officially locked in based on the points that he has with just 2 races to go till the chase. So he'll evidently want to get that thing in victory lane. We talk about momentum going into this chase. No better time to win than late as opposed to winning early and going cold. And we know he has the speed right now as these drivers get set to go on their 10-minute open qualifier session. You talk about rivalries, you talk about tempers. The reason everybody's going to be on edge, even the guys that are already locked in, because, again, they never want to not have a good finish. And albeit they'll be safe, they'll be fighting for a title 3 weeks from now. But everybody else out here that is not safe, they're a little bit edgy, and Darlington tends to rub people the wrong way to begin with. You combine that with the stresses of trying to qualify for this chase, and it could very well be an interesting race.
It well could be, and let's clarify, if you win tonight, you are in no matter what. This is a case where if you're in the top 30 and you win, you automatically lock yourself in if you cannot fall out of the top 30, Evan, because there's not enough winners to put us over the 16 winners mark, meaning that basically it just takes one win at this point. I don't know if we're going to see that. I know there's a few guys who would like a win to solidify their place in the chase, specifically Brennan Mercer being one of them, and even Chad Cole, who has been winless this season. He's up there 6th on the grid right now, doing a solid job. And you know, we've seen a lot of new winners lately, but there are a lot of new winners that aren't in position to make the top 30, Brian Macklin, and that's the key, because that means they cannot jump in and spoil the party.
Yeah, but for those guys, they can get out here and just try to prove that they are a contender for next year and try to go after the championship for next year. So it's certainly a case where they can go out there and just have some fun, show how strong they are, and try to go after the wins. Try to get up there and earn the respect of these other guys that are in the hunt for the championship, and maybe they can go up there and be a contender next year. I'm really excited to see some of these throwback schemes, as you were talking about earlier. We have quite a few out there on the track tonight. Mitch Rollo is sporting the old Sharpie machine, and then his teammate is also sporting a very special scheme. That's Corbin Hemstreet. He's running the Tide machine, kind of doing a little throwback to when Kurt Busch and Ricky Craven had their very impressive battle here a few years ago. So maybe we'll see those two battle it out for the win and have a very similar finish. That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it, Jacob?
They so badly want to do that here tonight. Corbin and Mitch told me prior to this qualifying session they want nothing more than to give these two paint schemes a 1-2 finish. And actually all of Boomtown Sim sporting throwback schemes tonight. Anthony DeBarro, who is tied for the pole right now with Jeff Ward. Ward gets it actually on account of points. DeBarro running a Bill Elliott scheme, a throwback to that 1985 scheme that made up 2 laps to win at Talladega. And even the 87 of Christopher Hurlow is sporting a Tony Stewart scheme. So a lot to be decided, a lot left to happen. But Evan, we mentioned a tie atop the leaderboard in qualifying right now, the 89 out front.
Yeah, there's a couple of names in here, as you've been talking about, that have those throwback paint schemes. I'd almost say a majority of the drivers, and you know, sometimes these guys, they like to run the same paint scheme. There's a lot of different, you know, psyche things that these guys go on. I'm looking for some of these guys to maybe that fresh coat of paint to give them a little bit of an extra boost tonight. One name I'm looking at, Chad Cole, the 8 machine to Ford Fusion, has been fast, but has not been ridiculously fast. I'd really like to see Chad Cole go up and dominate one of these races. Right now, he's in a good spot in qualifying. Some other big names that there. How about Daniel E. Eberhardt, the 90 Toyota, top 5 right now. A lot of drivers that maybe a little bit of a small change of pace might reignite the fire underneath them and maybe get a good run tonight.
Coming down to it, Brian, I think we got about 3 minutes left in this open qualifier. Is there anybody that you see that could maybe jump up and steal this pole?
Well, I'm not really sure that we're going to have anybody jump up there and steal the pole. I was talking to David Comstock before the race, and he said he's not really too concerned about trying to go up there and get a great qualifying lap. He did a lot of long green flag runs during that practice session leading up to this race. He actually completed a total of 64 laps during that practice session, and he said he actually put a lot of time in before the race, the session even went up. So he's certainly looking to have a lot of long run speeds, although he doesn't know how many long runs we're going to have. These cars are extremely loose here tonight, especially off turn 2, so I certainly expect to see that we might have some self spins off turn 2. Hopefully not, though. We'd love to see a lot of green flag racing. And if that happens, I definitely think David Comstock might be one of those guys to beat, because he's definitely prepared for long run races.
Yeah, it's been Comstock, Jeff Ward, and Boomtown Sim that's been the story of the last 6 weeks. Right now, 2 of those 3 are on the front row, Jeff Ward and Boomtown Sim in the form of Anthony DeBarro. So we're coming down to the end of qualifying. We see the 89 and the 9 on the front row, and Jeff Ward just upped the ante to a 27.718. That's the time to beat. We'll find out who's on the pole in just a moment, but right now, as we get set to roll for the Southern 200, we're going to go trackside and kick it off with tonight's opening ceremonies.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Red and black flags coming out right now as we say thanks to Jaden Burt, the virtual Thunderbirds, as the red and black flags bring this qualifying session to conclusion, and looks like it's going to be Steel Horse Racing back on top. 27.718 is the time to beat, and ultimately it's going to be the guy that has been good in everything this year, Evan. Jeff Ward on the pole, and to his outside as we look down the Ford Performance starting grid, the number 9 of Anthony DeBarro, the Coors machine, that Bill Elliott throwback, starting second.
Headed back on row number 2, the number 3 starting spot going to go to the number 96 teammate to Anthony DeBarro. That's Mitch Rollo. He'll start again in third with the 29-8. Alongside him, the number 90 machine picks up 3 spots from practice. Daniel E. Eberhardt will roll from fourth.
Starting in row number 3, the defending series champion. That's Eric Grundy starting in the 5th position, and to his outside, we were just talking about him, looking for a big night tonight. Chad Cole in that number 8 machine, he's starting 6th.
Moving on back to row number 4 now. David Comstock, the Monster Energy Chevrolet, rolls from the 7th position, and Greg Evans in car number 23 starts 8th. Evans was the winner a week ago in Bristol.
The number 5 Toyota Camry of Dan Murray will start this race in the 9th spot, and rounding out your top 10 going to be the 91. That's the Skull Bandit Chevy of Steve Gottschalk.
Thomas George is starting in P11 tonight. He's driving that Snap-on number 1 Chevrolet SS, and to his outside, last year's winner here at Darlington Raceway, Dwayne Vincent, starting 12th, looking to repeat here at Darlington.
And oh, by the way, Dwayne Vincent just happens to be the guy that we're going to talk to right now as the rest of the starting grid scrolls on your screen, and we're going to see if we can't dial up the driver of the number 13. He's our points leader. He's the defending race winner. He's also tonight's in-race reporter. Dwayne Vincent, Jacob Seelman, Brian Macklin, Evan Pasoko in the LSRTV booth. You got a copy there, bud?
Yes, sir, I do.
How about this? We come to a track where you're the defending winner. You so badly want to win one of these races this season. You've led the points since just about the very beginning of the season. Is this the night where it all comes together?
I sure hope so, man. Yeah, I won it last year running for John Abbott. I was his sub for the night and ended up winning it. But yeah, it sure would be nice and get that monkey off my back going into the chase. So we're going to just try to stay out of trouble and hopefully it happens.
We're hoping for it. What's the key to winning here at Darlington?
Patience, and you can never take a lap off. You got to race the track and not your competitors. That's the way I always try to do it.
How many Darlington stripes? Are we going to see some of them here tonight?
We're going to see plenty. Hopefully none on the 13 car.
All right, Dwayne, we'll touch base with you throughout the race because I guarantee you there's going to be a couple cautions throughout the race. Good luck, and we'll hear from you a little bit later tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's Dwayne Vincent. We'll be hearing from him as the race progresses. Brian Macklin, this is a track that you have some experience at in other various unsundry races around the iRacing service. How tough is this track from a driver's standpoint?
It is absolutely brutal. You're running inches off the wall all the way around the track, and you have to try to get around your competitors and try to get to the front. This is probably the most difficult track on the schedule, and for these drivers here, they're tackling this track, and it's going to be an exciting race. It's going to be interesting to see how many Darlington stripes we've got. I'm actually going to try to keep a tally on that throughout the night so we can update how many cars have those Darlington stripes. It should be a lot of fun to see that.
Boy, with the size of this field, Brian, good luck. I think you're going to have fun trying to keep track of stripes throughout the entire field, but I'll let you do that math. 35 cars in all, ready to take the green flag, led by the driver of the number 89 of Jeff Ward, the man who has won in all 3 RSR series this season. He's driving the Kodiak Chevrolet here tonight, the throwback in the green and white colors. And for the start of tonight's Southern 200, we go green flag, and we are underway here at the Darlington Raceway, and Jeff Ward is the man immediately on the jump in that Rusty Wallace tribute car. He runs the high lane off turn number 2, and this first lap of competition sees a battle for second.
Everybody up inside the top 5 wanting to get single file soon. It is that challenge for the second spot on the racetrack. Mitch Rollo used the inside of the racetrack on the drop of a green flag. He was able to slot up and take second, and now Anthony DeBarro, who started on the outside of that front row, falls to third. The 96 gains 3 car lengths.
Yeah, how about the battle between the 2 RCO Boomtown throwback cars, Rollo and DeBarro up there second and third, and look at the ground that Mitch makes up through the center of the corner. That Rubbermaid Chevrolet all the way to the back bumper of the 89 and Jeff Ward. This is going to be the battle for the lead, Brian, in turn 3.
As it goes turns 3 and 4 now, Mitch Rollo backs the corner up, trying to get that big run off the corner like he did down in 1 and 2. So far, not able to do it. Now he's got a little bit of pressure from his teammate, Anthony DeBarro, in the 9 car right behind him. Anthony chooses to stay in line for the time being. That allows Mitch Rollo to set his sights back on your race leader, Jeff Ward, as they go through turns 1 and 2. He gets another really big run off turn 2. He's closing back on the back bumper of Jeff as they go down the back.
Little bit of a scary moment and another scary moment down to the bottom. The 23 of Greg Evans, that Chevrolet tribute scheme back to about the 1940s. Evans loses a couple of spots. I was going to say Eric Brundy's in the Terry Labonte Kellogg's Ford had a scary moment in that 94. He got a little bit loose the last time by on lap number 3, but Greg Evans almost disaster. Evan, the Bristol winner, really fighting that car early on.
and he got sideways at it too. That's something that we predicted at the start of this race, that turn 2 going to be a place to watch, and he was able to hang on to it, but as you said, did lose a couple of spots. Still in the positive though, as he falls back to 7th on the racetrack. He made up 3 spots in those opening 3 laps. Want to keep talking about the number 3. How about 2nd through 4th? Those next 3 drivers behind your race leader, less than 3/10 separate them.
Trouble on the racetrack. Caution flag flies at lap number 5. The 15 of Scott Simley, the first car around. Brian Macklin, that was in front of you right here at the flag stand.
Yeah, Matt Lacrosse got a little squirrely off to the corner. He checked up for the 03 of Thomas Lattimore, and the 15 of Scott Simley had nowhere to go. That sent him around when the 98 actually got into the back bumper of him. Scott Stenzel also got a little bit of contact there, and fortunately it was just a 2-car accident. The replay is going up now. You'll see where the 15 and the 98 make contact, and the 15 of Scott Simley goes around on the front stretch.
Early caution allows us to take a pause and breathe for a minute as Jeff Ward has led all 5 laps that we've run so far. Mitch Rollo, Anthony DeBarro, Daniel Eberhardt, and defending series champion Eric Brundy's up there, all in the top 5 for throwback paint schemes, making the early stages fun here at Darlington. We'll be back for green flag action in a moment, but from the track Too Tough to Tame, this is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Did you know that Lion's sense of vision is so powerful, it actually enables nearby creatures to see better? Here we see lions assisting the offspring of others, while their parents are elsewhere in the wild. Brilliant, isn't it? Making the wild kingdom look much better indeed. Do good, be a lion.
Welcome back to LSRTV, working the first Service Master Clean caution of the night here at the Darlington Raceway. The track Too Tough to Tame and the Southern 200 for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. Jeff Ward, your race leader, under caution for a spin by Scott Simley on the front straightaway here with just 5 laps complete. We're now working lap number 8 of the scheduled distance here at the Darlington Raceway. And Brian Macklin, we were talking about throwbacks before the drop of the green flag and talking about how this is a race where really, the history all week. This race, the Southern 500 on Sunday, it's so much about the history of this racetrack and what it means to have this race back on Labor Day weekend. You look at the top 5, there's 5 throwback paint schemes. You got Rusty Wallace, Kurt Busch, the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt's actually rocking a Sterling Marlin Silver Bullet paint scheme on that Toyota. You've got DeBarro with Bill Elliott, and you've got Eric Brundy's repping the Terry Labonte colors. So it's like a flashback to 1975 just about.
Boy, and it is so cool to see all those throwback schemes. It's really cool to see all these drivers that are willing to take the time to get these paint schemes put together and have this type of a tribute race. Of course, we're going to see a whole mess of them on Sunday night for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race, but it's awesome to see that these guys come together and decide to do this, and to see them all running up front where we're used to seeing them back in those days. That's even more special because these guys are doing what they're supposed to do by putting on a good show with these throwback schemes. It's so cool to see this. I'm excited to have it, and I hope that we can see this throughout the whole night.
Oh, I think we're going to see a lot of beating and banging and dicing throughout the night. It's Darlington, the lady in black, and she's going to chew up some cars as we continue on. Jeff Ward and Mitch Rollo on the front row for the restart. The iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car makes the hard left turn to pit road, and Anthony DeBarro is ready to go. Jeff Ward says, I'm going to wait on you guys to get to turn 4, and then I'm going to say goodnight, Gracie. Green flag back in the air. The Kodiak Chevrolet right out in front of this field. That SS all the way to turn 1, all the way topside, and the battles for 4th between Eberhardt and Brundys. Brundys nearly got up into Eberhardt, who was trying to stay off the fence.
Yeah, Eberhardt in that 90 machine got past, but at 9 he'll try to put it back on him to the inside to quarter number 3. That's going to keep the 9 of Anthony DeBarro up high. 96 going to catch the fence just in front of them. Jeff Ward in the 96 machine actually just in front of the 96. Mitch Rollo tapping the outside wall. Eberhardt going to check up for that. Did not want to force the possible 3-wide scenario. Slots back into 4th. Keeps an eye set though on the 9 of DeBarro, who got him on the restart.
Yeah, Anthony DeBarro making some nice moves through the field here early, back up to 3rd, which is the top 3 qualified, and that's where they run. In fact, the top 5 are all running in the top 5 positions as far as where they started on the grid. Only change between Rollo and DeBarro. Eric Brundys makes a quick dive to the inside, coming back to the start-finish line. Can't make anything happen there. We put 11 laps on the board, and Brian Macklin, another guy who is really making some moves early in the game. Ward in the wall. We'll get back to that battle for the lead. Mitch Rollo to the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, that 89 machine got checked out. The 96 went to the bottom, and they'll go 2 wide, 2 rows deep now in 3 and 4. The 90 car tight. There's contact into Anthony DeBarro. Sideways at a 4, back up in traffic. He'll lock it down. They go high, they go low. Caution flag will fly, and it looks like that incident will be limited to just Anthony DeBarro, who comes to a rest shy of the start-finish line.
And just a tweak of damage on that left front quarter of Anthony DeBarro's machine. But I just, how did nobody hit him? Let's take a look at the replay, Evan, and try to figure out how on earth he didn't get nailed right here.
You know, we saw that 89 at Jeff Ward. He caught the fence in 2. That's how he lost the race lead. And then behind him, side by side, DeBarro just almost gets up into the fence. He was fine, but it was the 90 machine of Daniel Lee Eberhardt. As opposed to getting loose, that car was tight. He did not want to give it that little bit of an extra wheel. You give it too much wheel, and that's how the car breaks sideways. He was hoping the 9 would scrape up against the outside wall all the way through turn 4. That wasn't the case, and they barely met each other in the middle of the corner. The 9 car came down, hit the 90, and that's how he bounced back up the racetrack, and it looked like for a moment he was going to go right back up into traffic. Very carefully, though, he locked it down, tried to stay still. Everybody went high and low, and he didn't start rolling really until all those cars were gone through. And a good job as well by everybody else for just going through there, and maybe some of them had their eyes closed, but a good wreck avoidance by everybody in that one, and a great job by DeBarro for locking it down, not rolling up in front of anybody else. Keeps it to really a 1-car wreck, 2 cars if you count the machine up front that he got into as well. But other than that, the crisis averted that time before.
Leaders are on pit road. Eric Brundys stays out to assume the lead at lap 14, but Mitch Rollo's in front of you, Brian Macklin.
Yeah, Mitch Rollo decided to bring his car down pit road right there. He had a little bit of damage from when he made contact, so he decided to come in and get 4 fresh tires and fuel and see if maybe they could beat out that fender just a little bit. Not a lot of damage, but just enough where they wanted to get it fixed. Everybody else down here on pit road just trying to get 4 tires and fuel. Jeff Ward also on pit road. He's working on getting damage fixed after he made contact. Down and away they go. They also just pulled the fenders out, and Mitch Rollo is going to win the battle off pit road here, followed by Jeff Ward. Then it looks like Daniel Eberhardt's going to come off next. Corbin Hemstreet and Thomas Lattimore follow him.
So we work under caution, and Eric Brundys is your new race leader, Evan. This is a driver who hasn't won since Richmond, but he's been consistent. He is going to be a championship contender, and He also was very good in this race a year ago. He was leading for a long time, tagged the wall late. That's what allowed Vincent by, and Dwayne goes on to steal the victory in that one. Eric Brundy's, though, in a very familiar place here early on at Darlington.
Absolutely. We talk about how momentum is a good thing, and momentum going into the chase is kind of what makes this race equally as important for the guys that are already locked into the chase as the guys that still need to do so as the lights go on for the pace car. But again, just a little bit of a different racetrack. Anything you do really kind of change something underneath, you ignite you a little bit, you get a good run. One thing about this race that we haven't quite seen yet is because these cars are so lucid, you'll notice a couple of times, with the exception of when Greg Evans got in the wall, nobody really wanted to make it too wide. They had runs, and they had runs to the point where they'd throw it to the inside into the corner, Jacob, at any other track. But because it's Darlington, unless they really are on somebody and they got them for sure, they're not forcing the issue. These guys are tensed up on a wheel. They can't get into a long green flag stretch or relax their arms because the cars are so loose. Although they're trying to hit their mark every single time, it's always a different throttle sequence every time they go through 1 and 2, every time they go through 3 and 4, every single lap. So if we get a long green flag stretch going, this could come somewhat of a physically enduring race as well for these guys.
I think that's the key, is if we get a long green flag run. iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car's gone. Field in the hands of the 94 of Eric Brundy's, that Terry Labonte Kellogg's tribute scheme. He is down and away off turn number 4. The American ethanol green flag flies in near trouble. Back in the pack around the 13 of Dwayne Vincent. The throwback Haviland scheme. Vincent nearly gets it squirrely. I think there may have been a little bit of wheel spin on that restart for the 13, Evan.
And that's good news for the guys in front of him because it spreads out the top 8. You too wide inside of the top 10 this time. First fight is for a top 10 spot. The 99 on the inside of the 21. It's Dylan Jones fighting with Matt Lacrosse across on the outside going to make that move work. And again, that was the first battle inside the top 10. I'll tell you what, though, Eric Brundy's Jacob wasted no time on that green flag. How about 0.4 of a second and just 1.3 miles around? Good lead right now for the Kellogg's Ford.
Yeah, Brundy's doing exactly what Eric knows how to do, drive away and lead laps, and he is doing so here at Darlington. David Comstock, a nice run early, up to the number 2 position, but a little bit further back in the pack. There's been some nice runs early on as well. How about Dylan Jones, like you mentioned, Evan, just a minute ago? He started 24th, he now rides 12th in that 99 Steel Timber Sports entry.
And he's one of the drivers that has been going forward. Not on that last restart, though. Again, dropped 2 spots, found a spot on line, and it's all good news. In front of it, Matt Lacrosse, and they're both closing in on Sean Boundy. The 34, a little bit slow at a quarter number 2. The 21 goes to the inside of the racetrack. 99, not going to be able to find a spot quite yet. So he'll stay in line, catch the fence there. It's going to be a recurring theme, Brian. You could add one to your tally there. 99 found it in 3. Good run. The 34 going to give him the bottom. How about the 42, though? Scott Stenzel way sideways out of 4. He is off pace, and he'll lose a couple of spots as well. Looks like he caught the fence also.
Yeah, he got a little bit of contact off turn 4, made contact with the outside wall, and now the 34, Sean Boundy, once again in the wall. And with that, that makes 11 cars now that have had a Darlington fight. But now we have a wreck. Brian Harvey's around in the 66. He's sliding back up onto the track. He saves it, and they're scattering behind him, trying to get around him cleanly. Amazing that that's not going to bring out a caution, and what an incredible save by the 66 of Brian Harvey.
Wow. I don't know what to say to that, Evan, and I was keeping an eye on the leaders, and Brian Harvey, a mess, and how are we still green right now? Because it was near disaster on the other side of the track.
It wasn't pretty. They saved it, but it was not the most picturesque ways. The 66 going to split the gap. The 99 down on the apron. Again, he was getting out of the way for the 94. 66 came down on him, and 66 goes to slide up the hill. The banking saved them, though, and the good part for this is there's no grass on the inside of corners 3 and 4 here, so these guys were able to go all the way down there. They had a ton of space to avoid it. All was chaos getting back up the floor, and they had to blend back onto the racetrack, but it could have been a lot worse, and again, somehow no contact after the initial piece, and we stay green down after that one.
We do stay green, and that means we are now 22 laps of 133 in the books here tonight, just under 200 miles the scheduled race distance here at the track that's too tough to tame. And right now, Eric Brundys is trying to tame it like he wasn't able to a year ago. He leads by 1.2 seconds over David Comstock, Greg Evans, Thomas George, Dwayne Vincent, the rest of the top 5. Then it's Steve Gottschalk, Nick Cohan, Sean Casto, then Matt Lacrosse, and Scott Stenzel, the rest of your top 10, with Mitch Rollo, who had taken the lead just prior to that last caution, all the way back up to 11th right now. From Darlington Raceway, the Lady in Black. This is LSRTV coverage of the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series Southern 200.
While lions are notorious for their voracious appetites, they spend a great deal of time feeding other creatures. In fact, lions will take great care to ensure there's plenty to go around. As you can see, they keep giving with utter ferocity. Bravo, lions, and bon appetit. Do good, be a lion.
Welcome back to LSRTV and coverage of the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. We're working lap number 29 of 133 in the Southern 200. And if you think Terry Labonte is leading this race right now, no, your eyes are not deceiving you. That is a throwback paint scheme. That is the 94 of defending Full Throttle Cup Series champion Eric Brundys, piloting a scheme used by his favorite driver, Texas Terry, and leading the way here as we're about to the 1/4 mark of this race. Jacob Seelman, Evan Pizzoco, Brian Macklin in the Inside Sim Racing broadcast tower, and Brundys basically picking up exactly, Evan, where he left off in this race just over a year ago, actually about a year and 3 months now, because we moved this race from May back to Labor Day weekend. So Brundys dominating the early stages, but don't look now. David Comstock in that Monster Energy Chevrolet, he worked on long runs all day today, and he is slowly cutting into that deficit. It's down to 0.8 of a second in that Monster Energy Chevrolet. It's like he's lurking. He's not ready to show all his cards just yet, but he's letting Eric know, hey, I've got the speed to come up there and run with you.
And that's something as well that the 14 has been really strong at. When we first saw David Comstock storm onto this RSR Full Throttle Cup Series scene, really strong at a hot lap, really strong at the first 15-20 laps, maybe of a run, but really not on the long stretch. That's something that's absolutely changed here in 2015, and Darlington's a tough track to make time up at it, especially when you're so close to the fence every single time. It's hard to find anywhere to get some extra speed. Slowly, though, chip it away about 100th per lap, again, on these long green flag stretches, if they do get to that point, and at the point where we see green flag pit stops. It's hard to beat a guy like Eric Brundys, but if you throw it under the name of the conversation that has the ability to make up time in and out of pit lane under the green flag, especially at a track like Darlington, where the pit lane entry is quite interesting, and you're going downhill and such, one of the trickier pit roads all around. David Comstock definitely in that conversation. Put Thomas J. George and Greg Evans, Dwayne Vincent, and pretty much everybody else inside the top 15 into that conversation as well. For the 14, good news for him. The gap behind him getting bigger, the gap in front of him getting smaller.
Yeah, Brian, and this right now is a run very reminiscent of what we saw from Eric Brundys during his run to the championship last season. He was just very calm, very cool, very collected, and just remarkably consistent. He would lead laps, he would show that he was there to play, and he might not win every race that he showed the speed like he's showing tonight in, but he'd certainly finish top 5. I like what I'm seeing out of this Ford Fusion right now, and I think you're going to have to contend with the 94 of Eric Brundys, just as you may have to contend with the number 11 of Jonathan Cadell. We're taking a look at the rig cam for car number 11, who rides right now in the 18th position.
Yeah, when you start heading into the chase here, you've really got to step up your game. This is the time now, with just 2 races before the chase begins, to start showing your cards and start showing how strong you are. And for these guys that are at the front right now, Eric Brundys, David Comstock, Thomas George, Greg Evans, and the guy who has not won yet, Dwayne Vincent, this is the perfect time to start peaking. You've got to start picking it up and showing that you can contend. A lot of these guys that are up here, they haven't been able to contend with the RCO Boomtown guys over the last 2 months, and they've got to step up their game if they want to go up there and have a shot to take that championship away from them. So this is exactly what they needed. And for a guy like Eric Brundys, who is your defending series champion, this is exactly what you want to see. You want to get up there and have a lot of speed and prove to these guys you're not out of the hunt for this championship this season. And I really like what we're seeing out of these guys. It's going to make those guys down there in the RCO Boomtown camp really have to keep strong and stay steady with what they've been doing over the last 2 months.
They really are. And Evan, I want to go to a point now with you on Eric Brundys that I think all three of us have talked about off air the last couple of weeks, in that I think for Eric, actually having a couple of rookie teammates come in the 98 of David Washington and the 99 of Dylan Jones, who have come in just their first 3 or 4 starts in this series to run on the podium, second, third, or in Washington's case, picking up a win at Michigan. I really feel like that's pushed the defending champ to step up his game a little bit, because he knows if he doesn't, he's going to get outrun by a couple of guys who don't have near the amount of laps in this series as he does.
We always talk about the advantages of being on some of these bigger teams and being on one of the large teams. And not only do you have that ability as caution flag flies at the racetrack, but it can push you a little bit. Yellow flag does come out, though, just shy of getting close to some pit stops. Looks like big trouble down the back straightaway. Scott Stenzel's turned around, and some other cars involved as well.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on Chad Cole, who got junked over there. He's running a Raybestos Brakes throwback scheme, one of those beautiful paint schemes from back in the early to mid-90s, but Cole's got some pretty good damage, and looking at a replay right now, and it looks like it started all around Scott Stenzel.
The 42 car, turn 2, yet again strikes another victim. Just gets a little bit hot in there. Wasn't really in a big battle with that 90 car behind him. Caught the fence, and then when he ran around, the 90 was right there. Take a look to the inside, trying to get around him. Eberhardt gets collected as we see some caution flag pit stops.
Caution flag pit stops, Brian Macklin. Who we got down on pit road?
Everybody's down on pit road now. Eric Brundys led the charge. He's coming down to the comfort of his pit crew, looking to get 4 fresh tires and fuel. David Comstock also down, looking for some new tires. Everybody on pit road here looking to get that service as they hit their pit boxes now. The right side tires are getting ready to be jacked up by the pit crews here. Eric Brundys looking to try to win this race off pit road. He's still sitting there waiting on the 2 tires to get up, as it looks like we might have, nope, I'm sorry, that's a couple cars that are coming in to get to their pit boxes. Down and away here, Eric Brundys is going to win the battle off pit road. No contest at all. David Comstock's at least 4 car lengths behind. It's going to be David Comstock behind him, then Thomas George, Dwayne Vincent, and Greg Evans, your top 5 off pit road.
We're going to step away for a moment and come back to the Eric Brundys restart with just over 40 laps complete, it's going to look like. So Brundys, again, leads the way as we continue to roll right through the Southern 200 from Darlington Raceway. This is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
move. Truex in the outside, contact made. 56 slides in at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Welcome back to LSRTV from one of the most historic tracks in NASCAR. The mile and a third Darlington Raceway sees Eric Brundy's the defending series champion in car number 94 out in front of the party as David Washington and Chad Cole, who stayed out to lead a lap under caution, heads down to the pit lane. And now with the Brundys and Comstock back on the front row for the restart, it's going to see a little bit of more of the same, I guess you'd say. But look at the guy in third, Evan, for this restart behind Eric, Thomas George in the Snap-on machine.
And it's been an interesting 2015 for the number one machine. They've had, spurts where they have not had much luck to any at all, and they've as well had their spurts where everything's gone their way. Darlington, a track that could go whichever way, but right now they're doing very good. Started this race at 11th position. They sit third right now, up about 8 spots. Not a bad time so far for being 42 laps into this. Pace car going to get down and away to the safety of pit road. Brundys will have control. Green flag flies. We're back underway on the inside of the racetrack as they go across the start-finish on 94, well out in front of the field. Comstock though doing something that second place hasn't done much tonight, and that's maintained P2 down to 1 and 2.
Yeah, he did a nice job on that restart to hold on to that second position ahead of George, and the top three kind of break away a little bit. Dwayne Vincent, Brian, didn't get as good a restart in that Haviland entry and falling back just a touch.
Yeah, for the second time tonight, he actually spun the tires on the restart just a little bit. Not as bad this time as on the previous restart when he was on older tires, but just enough to where it didn't allow him to get the restart that he was looking for. He was able to hold on to that 4th position, and he's slowly starting to work his way up to the front. He was your defending race winner last year. He started 12th, and he's up inside the top 5, and he's quietly working his way towards the front. We could see a repeat winner out of him.
We may. I'm not convinced of it yet. I think he needs a little more speed to contend with the 94, who may have a challenger for the lead here shortly, Evan. It's been quiet on the radio for David Comstock since the restart, but this is the closest he's been to the 94 all night. He's not letting Eric get very far away.
And that's the key. Just keep him there. Again, he was closing in, but he was just under a second away. Still close, but that's a long way to make up. Again, at Darlington, having to do it lap by lap because you kind of have to tiptoe through. It's really hard to just be aggressive on it because unlike most racetracks where you throw it to the bottom, you swing out wide, you're almost diamonding these corners. You're trying to get as close to the wall in the middle of the turn as you can and then be able to duck it back low, come off the corner. Just keep him there. Again, saving those tires could be a factor later on in this race if we do get a little bit of a green flag stretch like we saw last time, which is where Comstock undoubtedly started to close some time at 94. So in these first couple of laps, just keep him there, keep him in contact, don't lose sight of him, and then as long as he's there and as long as you're in a relative distance from him, you keep yourself in a position to fight for him.
Yeah, you do, and that's the major key. And Brian, we're starting to see this fall into a little bit of a rhythm here. I think we're finally starting to see these guys settle down, get into a little bit of a green flag stretch. I want to take a listen to this because I know from the time that these guys just pitted here on lap number 40, they can't go the distance, but boy, they could go quite a long way into the second half of this race before they'd have to be back on pit road for fuel if we didn't have a rash of caution flags.
Yeah, and they can certainly go around 45 to 50 laps, but I can promise you as a driver, when you get about 25 laps on these tires, especially as loose as these cars already are, they're going to be screaming to their pit crew and screaming to their crew chief, please get me down on pit road, please get me 4 fresh tires. I actually expect you will not see these guys run a full fuel run unless it comes down to the end of the race where they need to make it to the end in order to have a shot to win the race. I fully expect you'll see these guys get on pit road a few laps before before they actually have to, just so they can get the fresh tires and maybe get an advantage on the track to try to make up some time. Right now, David Comstock is slowly starting to lose touch with Eric Brundage. He's fallen back to a second behind Eric, but we saw this in the run before where he fell back to about a second and 2/10, and then he slowly started creeping his way back up there. So I'm sure he's just saving his tires, and actually he did gain just a little bit of time on Eric that time by, so he might be trying to creep his way back up there now.
Let's take a look down the Ford Performance leaderboard. We've appropriately got a Ford leading the way in Eric Brundage here with coming up on 50 laps complete. David Comstock rides to the number 2 position with Thomas George in 3rd. Another Ford. Dwayne Vincent is 4th and Greg Evans in 5th. Mitch Rollo, the best of the Boomtown Sim cars, right now riding 6th. Steve Gottschalk 7th. Nick Cohan is 8th. Sean Casto 9th, and how about the run for Christopher Hurlow, Evan, from 23rd up to P10, and the pole sitters chasing him back in the next 10.
And Jeff Ward's going to be able to swap spots. He'll jump to 10. Hurlow will fall to 11th. Just behind him is Anthony DeBarro in 12th. He wants a piece of the action as well. 13th is Corbin Hemstreet. Jonathan Cadell, one more spot back, but up 11 from the start of this race. He sits 14th. 15th right now is Scott Simley. Brian Harvey got into an interesting scenario earlier on. Saved that race car, all things considered. Back up to 16th position, so back at a positive spot after falling well back after contact in the quarter. Behind him in 17th is Thomas Lattimore. Top 10 runner Dayton Murray, number 5 car back at 18th position right now. It's a 19th running spot at the moment for Dylan Jones. And Chad Cole, who started in 6th, finds himself back and rounding out your top 20.
Brandon Mercer's in the 21st position, trying to get enough points to get into the chase on points. He's not looking like he's going to get the win here tonight, so he needs the points. He's sitting 21st right now. Scott Stenzel, actually, he just got passed by Matt Lacrosse. Matt Lacrosse is 21st, and then Scott Stenzel has fallen back to 22nd. Boundy is in the 23rd position here. I'm sorry, he's 24th. We actually had another change for position right there, as Nick Silver is in the 25th position. 26th is Joey Gattina. Rich Jett is 27th. David Washington, after being involved in one of the early accidents, he is sitting in the 28th position. Doug Roth is 29th, and rounding out the top 30 is Kevin Linden, driving the number 48 Lowe's machine tonight.
Yeah, that's actually all the cars that we have on the racetrack right now. The remaining 4 cars out of this race: Daniel Eberhardt, Ryan Vaughn, Douglas Wyatt, Paul Fugate. The balance of the field with Skylar Brown not taking the green flag tonight. He'll be credited in 35th as a DNS. That's a look at your Ford Performance leaderboard here with 55 laps complete. Ford go further, and congratulations to Ford driver Eric Brundage, who currently leads the Southern 200 at Darlington Raceway. We'll be back with more coverage in a moment from the track Too Tough to Tame. This is LSRTV coverage of the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series.
Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Welcome back to LSRTV. We are live at Darlington Raceway as we approach halfway in the Southern 200, the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, and we welcome you into the Inside Sim Racing broadcast hour. Jacob Seelman, Evan Pasoko, and Brian Macklin on the call, and we've been watching for the last 30 laps or so. Defending series champion Eric Brundy's run away from the field, though Brian Macklin, as you saw on one of our read cameras during the break, he's got a little bit of damage to the right front of that Kellogg's Ford Fusion. Actually tagged the wall now about 7 laps ago.
Yeah, coming off turn 4 on lap 57, he made slight contact with the outside wall, and as you noted under that commercial break, he has not slowed down a bit since that contact with the outside wall. I actually want to say it might have made him just a little bit quicker because he's been able to hold on to that gap over David Comstock. David had closed the gap down to just over 0.6 of a second. It's back up to 0.9, and actually he lost a ton of time that last lap by. David Comstock's now back to 1.5 seconds. I'm going to have to go back and see what happened. Maybe he made a little bit of contact with the wall as well.
This has been a long night for anybody not named Brundy's so far, Evan. That 94 car, this is the Eric Brundy's we're used to seeing. Dominant form, championship form, going out, laying them down. He's just head and shoulders above the rest of the field tonight. He's in his own zip code.
And talk about doing it in the nick of time. Again, continuing to talk about that this 2015 chase is just around the corner. And what a time to find your stride for the 94. And we were talking about David Comstock and how, Brundy's his biggest challenger. If somebody's been there with them all night, it's been David Comstock. And we said, Comstock, you just got to keep him in reach and maybe do something on the long green flag stretch. Well, the 14 has really fallen off. Maybe just trying to keep up relatively with the number 94 because he's fallen to 3rd and is dropping like a rock. He'll be 3 seconds back by the next time he comes by the start finish line. And in front of him, it's Thomas J. George. You saw that one machine make the move. Even George is losing time while he's passing other cars as he gets to 2nd.
Yeah, how about Thomas George? The nice run, qualified 11th. He's really powered his way through the field here in the early going. And there's a lot of guys right now who we can look through the field. Let's go through the field for a moment and see if we can't put eyes on a few of these guys who have made a nice run through the field. We'll put Laura Lawson to work here for a couple minutes. Let's start with the 1 of Thomas George, who rides in the number 2 position. That snap-on machine. He's 2.25 seconds behind the leader now, but George doing a nice job. He's a 3-time winner this season, last one at Kentucky, and these intermediate tracks have been his bread and butter this year. The snap-on Chevrolet doing solidly. George up 9 from where he started, and another guy who's up 9 from where he started just moved by, as I think Comstock really fallen off now all the way back to 6th, but plus 9 as well, Evan, for the 13 Haviland Davey Allison tribute of Dwayne Vincent.
A lot of these guys doing strong runs at the moment. Dwayne Vincent, again, continuing to talk about how that Ford Fusion not been able to get to victory lane yet, and tonight may be one of his better bets on the rest of the season here. But again, running strong, top 5 of them and top 10 of them to death right now. Very strong in the points right now. You got Mitch Rollo as well, and again, a lot of these other drivers throughout the field. Good battle going on with the 23 of Greg Evans. I'll tell you what, not much of a battle for the lead lap, but the 23 is going to get down and out of the way. He rides 5th right now in that throwback Chevrolet Chevy SS. Behind him, I'll tell you what, Comstock guy is really falling like a rock. 7.3 seconds. That car has really fallen off the cliff, and he continues to really struggle, hoping to get a caution or to the next set of pit stops. He still rides in front of Jeff Ford and Anthony DeBarro, as well as Steve Godstock through the top 9.
Yeah, and the guy right behind that top 9 in 10th, another one of our big movers early on, Brian Macklin, up 10 halfway through the field from where he started, the 53 of Nick Cohan doing a nice job for Steel Horse Racing.
Yeah, he has moved up 10 positions from the 20th position up into the top 10 now, and another one right behind him. Actually, there's quite a line here of drivers that have made up a ton of positions. We'll go right on through them. Sean Casto started in the 29th position. He's up to 11th. Christopher Hurlow is up from 23rd to 12th. Jonathan Cadell having a quiet night. He's up from 25th to 13th. The only one in this little mix here right now is Thomas Lattimore. He started 13th. He's actually fallen to 15th, but Dylan Jones also has moved up from the 24th position all the way up to the 14th position. And then the rest of these guys back here looks like they're struggling just a little bit. Chad Cole started 6th and he's fallen to 16th, so he breaks the chain of drivers that are moving forward. He's dropping backwards right now and not looking to fall any further back. He needs the points to try to get into the chase here.
Yes, he does. Chad Cole in that 8 machine, the Ray Bestis entry, really struggling, has dropped back 10. Nick Silver, the final guy I'm focused on right now, running 18th in car number 25. The 25 car up 12 positions after starting very deep in the field, started on the outside of row 15 in 30th. He's starting to be in danger of going a lap down. He's on the same straightaway as Eric Brundys, but Nick Silver doing a solid job at working his way through the field. How about the 52 of Sean Casto? Let's juxtapose the number, Evan, because Casto just passed Steve Gottschalk and moves into the top 10. He's our biggest mover of all so far tonight.
That'll put him 19 spots into the positive from the start of this race. And he has a clean race car. That's the key to this, is just keeping that thing in one piece and continuing to move forward. A long race when you look at it, 133 laps right now. We work lap number 75 for the lead lap race cars. So although it doesn't seem like an outrageous amount here at Darlington, 30-second lap times or so, that is a lot of time to pace yourself. And I don't think it's much of a surprise that most of the clean cars on the racetrack are up front. We have seen many a driver, about 4 or 5 of them really in specific, guys. We've seen them either get into an incident or maybe they should have been at an incident, somehow save it, stay on track, that have damage, but they saved it. They're just picking their way through. And although it might not only result with the top 20, top 15, it's something to an extent. Somebody else sideways on a racetrack and trying to hang on to number 99 of Dylan Jones. He is slow down to corner 1. He'll get back up to speed. He had big problems, though, at a Ford.
Yeah, he did. He really had to gather that car up, and I'm impressed that he was able to hold it underneath him. That's a rookie making, I believe, either his 4th or 5th start here tonight. Eric Brundys, Eric Brundys, Brian Macklin, down on the turn 2 and just tagged the wall really good with that 94 Kellogg's machine. I'm not seeing a ton of damage to that right side, but he slapped the safer barrier. Pretty solid hit.
Yeah, that was actually a few laps ago on lap 73. I was scrolling back through the replay camera, and he hit it off turn 2 with a very solid hit. And since then, he has been losing time to second place Thomas George. Thomas has been cutting 1.5 to 2 tenths every single lap since that contact, and Thomas has cut the lead down from what was a 3.1 second gap down to 1.7. He is slowly starting to march his way up there, and it looks like this contact with the wall for Eric Brundys may have actually hurt the car. He's falling back similarly to what we saw with David Comstock when he hit the wall about 20 laps ago. So now, and we have a caution on the racetrack here. That's going to save Eric Brundys. We got to try to figure out what happened here under caution at the Darlington Raceway.
We're going to get a replay right now of Eric Brundys from about 5 laps ago when he got into the wall, Evan, but we are under caution, I believe, for just the 4th time tonight. The 4th Service Faster Clean caution here at lap 78.
And the trouble on this incident going to be with Jonathan Cadell, guys. Something really weird going on with that number 11, the Budweiser throwback paint scheme. Almost looks like he found a pothole or something in turn 2. Going on the bottom of the racetrack, all of a sudden that car just bobbled up the hill, may have started to lose the handle on it and maybe tried to step it up the hill to save it. Once you do that, you know that wall is going to be covered up very quickly. Caught the fence, and unfortunately for him, it was as hard of an impact as we'll get working on that replay with the 11 machine here for you in just a moment. Jacob, enough of contact to kind of bounce that car off of that outside wall, and it kicked the back end around on the back half of the safer barrier there. Split him out in the middle of the racetrack. Good news for him is there wasn't any side-by-side going on behind him, so nobody else going to get caught up. He gets back up to speed, but he'll be behind, and one of the things that he'll have to do on pit road is some damage as the leaders come in as well.
Leaders are in. Brian Macklin and Eric Brundys already around. It's a 4-tire change in Sunoco refuel.
Yeah, they were contemplating staying on pit road to fix the damage, but they elected to stay out there and try to hold on to the track position. 4 tires and fuel. They did try to pull the fender out just a little bit. Eric Brundys is going to win the battle off pit road. Behind him, we're going to have Thomas George, and then Jeff Ward. He's going to come out 3rd there. Going to have to look back to see if maybe he took 2 tires. Dwayne Vincent behind him, and Greg Evans is going to be 5th.
Well, Jeff Ward very quietly had worked his way back up into the top 6 or 7, was running around, I think, 4th, 5th, 6th-ish, and had taken 4 tires on that 89, so the pole sitter has worked his way back into contention, and under caution with 80 laps complete, Eric Brundys is your leader here at Darlington.
I'm Dan Garrison, software engineer at iRacing. Since the beginning of Papyrus and through iRacing, the track has been unchanging through a session. Whatever you have at the beginning is what you have for the duration of the session and the end. The track doesn't change. What we want to do is be able to have the track respond to what's going on, to have cars interact with the track, to have the track change in temperature, in the amount of rubber. We want marbles, and we want those to be generated by the cars, putting them where they should be and picking them up and rethrowing them off the race line. It's a physical-based model that we focus on first and foremost. The tire and the track interaction, what's really going on there. It would be easy to just quickly throw something together. Our standards are, it needs to make sense. What's really going on, even at the molecular level between the track and the tire. The way the track works, essentially, is we divide it up into small cells that your car interacts with. So if you're adding temperature to a certain part of the track, we can pretty accurately know exactly where that is. That gets transmitted to the server. So if I'm in a race, my data is going to the server with everybody else in the session. The server accumulates that and basically broadcasts a consistent track state to everyone, so everyone's got the same track that they're racing on. One of the big challenges was being able to implement this dynamic track with any number of clients connected and have it just work as you would expect. Have it be the same for everyone in the service who's in a session. So to kind of give a little bit of a preview of the state of things right now, I basically have run a number of laps at 5 flags with the effects exaggerated for demonstration purposes so that we can kind of immediately see what's going on with the track. Right here is basically the track at the beginning of the session. There is a little bit of rubber on there.
Welcome back to LSRTV, working the 4th Service Master Clean Caution Flag of the night. Actually just wrapped it up as we've gone back to green flag conditions here, working the restart at lap number 83, and Eric Brundys is your race leader in the Kellogg's Ford Fusion ahead of Thomas George in the Snap-on Chevrolet, and that battle continues to rage. We're 83 laps of 133 home this time, Evan. We restarted with 51 laps to go, so we're getting into the stretch run to the finish here in the Southern 200 at Darlington, and despite that little bit of damage to the right side of Eric Brundys' car, he's been into the safer barrier twice tonight. He's still hanging on to that lead and pulling away a little bit from Thomas in second.
In that time, by exactly 50 laps to go in this race, and Brundys already picking up 0.2 a lap, even though these drivers roll on some fresh Goodyear Eagles this time at a 4, trying to grow the gap back to Thomas J. George. Will go from 0.5 of a second to just about 6, so continuing to just try to pull away. At the top 3 right now, there was a point where the top 5, Jacob, did not change for the longest time. Now Throttle back in the pack behind him, down through turn 2, wrecking down into, and now more people getting involved, trying to get out of the way.
Rich Jet was the car that sparked that in the number 36, and the caution flag flies with 85 laps complete.
And Rich Jet, the first driver to almost go all the way around, but it all started with that 5 car a little bit further up in 2. This was essentially 3 or 4 different accidents. Dan Murray's going to get involved. You'll take a look at it right now. It looked like Brennan Mercer to the inside, and I said, Jacob, not a lot of people were going to the inside if they didn't have a big run. That's what happens. Brendan trying to make it work. Didn't quite get the spot there. Turned the 5. The 5 wrecks. Then behind him, you found the 36 of Rich Jet. Rich Jet got turned by the 98. That collected about 3 other cars. And even furthermore behind that, another incident ensued just from these guys trying to get checked up. So it looks like 3 separate incidents all gets kicked off at a contact between the 5 and the 29.
And what that does is slows us down for the 5th time here tonight at the Darlington Raceway. For all your cleaning needs, get Service Master Clean as the Service Master yellow cleaning trucks, virtual cleaning trucks, roll onto the racetrack, and we circulate and slow down the pace for the 5th time here tonight at Darlington Raceway. Eric Brundy's, Thomas George, Dwayne Vincent, still that top 3. There is a lot of experience right now on that podium, Brian Macklin. I would have to sit down here and maybe I can pull out my stat book under this caution and look. There's somewhere in the realm of 25 or 30 series victories between those top 3 on the racetrack, a championship, an almost championship, and the regular season points leader. So yeah, that podium, you're hard pressed to find any better drivers in this series except for maybe Jeff Ward in 4th behind them.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't forget about Jeff Ward. He's also a very experienced driver. He may not have the most series victories or series starts here in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, but he is one of the more seasoned veterans on the iRacing service, and it does not surprise me at all to see these 4 drivers at the front after 87 laps here at the Darlington Raceway. This is one of the most grueling and challenging tracks on the entire Sprint Cup Series schedule, and for these guys here in the Full Throttle Cup Series having to tackle it, you really have to have that experience and that level of understanding to know how to get through one of these races. This is one of the few tracks where you don't want to be the fastest driver out there. You sometimes want to be the more consistent or the more rhythmic driver if you're going to get up there and have a shot to win. And for the 4 at the front of the field, I can't think of 4 drivers that are more experienced at doing just that, being able to get into a rhythm and just hit their marks lap after lap and keep the car clean for the most part. Of course, it's very hard to do that here at Darlington, being inches off the wall, and unfortunately you're going to hit the wall. But for these 4 drivers, they've done an amazing job all night long, and I certainly expect the winner of this race to be one of those 4 drivers.
Yeah, I do agree with you, and I'm going to look. If we don't get lights out this time, I'm hoping maybe we can actually touch base with our in-race reporter. I'm watching the pace car right here and seeing if indeed the lights do go off, and it looks like they will not. They're on the back straightaway, so we got about a lap and a half. Yeah, I can kind of read sometimes. I'm directionally challenged. Let's check in with Dwayne Vincent, our in-race reporter, and save me from any further disparagement. Dwayne Vincent, Jacob Seelman in the LSRTV booth. Your car looks about as clean as anything out there. How's the race going so far?
Yeah, it's going good so far. I'm having trouble putting the throttle down. Very, very loose on exit.
It looks loose out there. It looks chaotic. How tough are these cars to drive? I mean, the tire fall-off's been unbelievable tonight.
Yeah, it's really a handful, to be honest with you, especially around other cars. But just trying to keep focused and keep racing the track, and hopefully we stay up around there in the top 5. Brundy's is really, really fast. I'm not sure anybody's got anything for him, but we're going to keep digging.
We'll let you get back to it, ready for a restart. We'll talk to you here before the night's over.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Evan, let's take him to the green, my friend, because Eric Brundy's, as we've got about a half lap to go, nobody's had anything for him since about lap 41. He has led the last 49 laps of this race. Doesn't look like he's ready to stop anytime soon.
And not only has he had that spot, but it has not even been close for the number 94, and you saw it on that last run. Can't even say there's any sort of tire strategy involved in that play. 94 maybe saving something a little bit more than his fellow competitors. The pace car gets down because they all got fresh tires and he was strong. Pace car gone, green flag flies back in the air to the 94 on the inside. Another great restart sets the 94 off into the sunset. And at that 13 though, Dwayne Vincent trying to shake something up. He wants to fight for a second, won't be able to do it though on the inside, and now tries to hang on to third. Look at the challenge, the 89 up top, that's Jeff Ward.
They save it. We got Chaos back in the pack, but we are going to stay green from about 12th to 18th. They were getting a little squirrely. They hold on to it, though. A little bit of contact as Vincent falls through the pack. The 99, Dylan Jones. 13 of Vincent. They nearly touch. Dwayne loses a couple of spots. He's back now to 7th all of a sudden.
And again, just like that, you make a move trying to go forward, and you end up dropping back about 4-3 spots at the racetrack. He'll end up in 6th position, able to stay up and just in front of the number 9 Coors machine of Anthony DeBarro, who sits 7th right now. That leaves Thomas J. George out to fight with Eric Brundage, or at least just be the closest guy to the back bumper, the 94, trying to continue that pull away from the field. And again, that contact that we thought might be detrimental to the 94, not showing any side effects. Tied by a little bit to the positive. Again goes the 94 of Brundage. The gap's up to 4.5 tenths.
Yeah, it is. This, I just get the feeling, Brian, that if this keeps going the way it's going, this is Eric Brundy's race to lose, just like it was a year ago. You don't think he's driving hoping to get a little bit of redemption here at Darlington, do you?
Oh, absolutely. He's looking for redemption. Anytime you lose a race, you don't forget about it. It's so hard to get over a race that you know you should have won, and you know that you had the car to beat, and something doesn't go your way and you end up losing the race. And for Eric Brundage, I know that's what is on his mind tonight. He came in here and that was the only thing that he's thinking about, and he's done an amazing job. As you said, he's led for over 50 laps now, and he's hanging on to this lead, and he's certainly got the best car again here. So as long as no gremlins come up and try to steal this thing away from him, I think he's going to be in the catbird seat to win this race. But he can't rest right now. He's got Thomas George starting to try to close in on him just a little bit. Closed about a half a tenth that last time by. He's starting to hunt him down. So Eric Brundage still has a little bit of work to do if he's going to take this thing home.
This is the most pressure that Brundage has been under all race long. It's been really smooth sailing until right now, but maybe Evan, Thomas George, did they come over the radio and tell him it was time to go into attack mode here in the final laps?
You would almost think so, and he had to drive aggressively to even stay in second, Jacob. On the last couple of restarts, something that we didn't see early, but we've mentioned a couple of times, is that the car restarting in second hasn't had a whole lot of luck. Typically, the guy on the inside behind the race leaders been slotting up for the second. Last time he went green, Thomas J. George was able to get there and was riding with no issue. Over this time, he had that challenge from Dwayne Vincent, and just as he started up to make ground, gets into the outside wall and got it hard enough to really get stuck in that outside retaining wall. Not only is he going to lose a lot of time there, but there goes all of the straightaway speed, and there goes all that time he made up to 6 tenths, and I'm sure going to get a little bit bigger than that as the one car, not only with damage now, lost a lot of momentum all the way down the front through 1 and 2. We'll take a look at a replay in just a moment as it goes up right now. George starts to go to the positive, and he catches the wall just like that, and now finds himself worse off than he was.
Yeah, and that's a tough break because I think it was shaping up to be a really good battle between these two, but now 96 laps complete, and Eric Brundage starting to pull away, though George was even with him on lap times that last time by. The guy who really made up time on both of them was the 89 of Jeff Ward, that Rusty Wallace tribute car. Maybe he's still got a little bit left in reserve. I know we called Thomas George the closer, Brian, but Jeff Ward really has made a habit of being real sneaky, real cunning, and right there when it matters. So he could have something to say about this before it's all done as well.
Yeah, and he certainly had a very quiet night. He started on the pole, he led early, and then he had contact with the outside wall. He kind of fell back around the 10th position for quite a while and has slowly worked his way back up there into the 3rd position as David Comstock almost makes contact with the wall off too. He saves it and has to gather it up all the way down the back straightaway there. But for Thomas George, he's going to have to get his head back on straight. That contact with the wall could have hurt him, and he's got Jeff Ford right behind him, so he can't afford to keep making too many mistakes. Actually, he just cut another 10th into Eric Brundage's lead, so I'm thinking maybe that contact with the wall motivated him and got him going and decided to make him more determined to try to get up there and get after him. He's certainly still looking really aggressive here, and with just over 30 laps to go, he's got enough time to mount a charge, but we've always said it. It's one thing to catch the guy in front of you, but especially here at Darlington, it is another thing to pass him, Jacob, and I have a feeling it's going to be a well of a show if he gets there.
Yeah, he's running lap times that are pretty even with Brundage. 2 1/1000ths difference that last time by between the two of them. So this is looking to be a little bit of a classic showdown between the 94 and the 1. We saw this battle, Evan, so many times last year. In fact, these were the two that down to the very last lap at Homestead a year ago, these two were the ones that were fighting for the title. Brundage finished second, George finished third, and George missed the title by 1 spot. We're starting to see these two rise back to that level that they were at a year ago and really get themselves into championship form. I like what I'm seeing out of these top two right now. I really like what I saw out of that one last time by. He cut another half-tenth out of Brundy's lead. He's coming.
He's creeping back into the picture, and what that means is, as well, you mentioned Jeff Ward, who is also kind of sneaking back into this conversation, albeit 1.2 seconds off of your race leader, but still there. How about taking 2/10 off entirely, a .689 for Jeff Ward, in comparison to a 9:08 from Eric Brundy's. Thomas J. George closed in a lot as well. And here comes that number one machine within half a second. But as Brian said, as it's like 31 to go this next time by, you might be able to catch him. But at any racetrack, passing a completely different story, especially though from what we've seen here at Darlington. If you don't have a big run, not a lot of people have been able to make something work. And if you got a race car that is anywhere near Eric Brundy's, it's not going to be better than him, if at all, by much. That would be really exciting if he gets to him.
If he can't get all the way around him, though, Evan, it still at least makes for good TV here on LSRTV. So we're looking forward to watching this battle. Right now, we're going to go LSRTV side by side since we are past the halfway point in today's race. And keep an eye on this battle for the lead while we step away to some commercial business. You are listening and watching LSRTV here as we continue from the Darlington Raceway, and Eric Brundy's continues to lead as we're down inside of 30 laps to go.
It's been a very long offseason. Teams have changed, sponsors have changed, colors and all, but one thing that hasn't, they like to mash the loud pedal. Green flag is out on the 2015 NASCAR Antifreeze Series season.
iRacing is the ideal platform for these broadcasts because we have the best racers, the best online racers in the world, and we have such a variety of racing, from NASCAR to Grand Prix style racing, sports car, endurance racing. We do it all.
Since 2010, the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series has been the absolute pinnacle of road racing in a simulated form. Great start then by Yakoda from the front. They're packing up behind him one. They're going to be 4 wide as they come down into turn number 1 for the first time. Will they make it through that first corner? You can see them funneling through the center S's. It looks as though everyone is just about made it through. We have got ourselves some contact though, Rachel.
Side by side going into turns 3 and 4. Humpy's got the advantage, but Ottinger's not going to.
Oh, he got into him!
Ottinger gets into the 58, turns right into him, and that ends Ottinger's run.
Welcome back to LSRTV. Caution flag flew at lap 105 for a crash involving Sean Casto and Thomas Lattimore. We'll get to that in a moment. Right now, Evan Pasoko, leaders are on pit road. Final stops here at lap 108. The leaders in right here at the end of pit road.
And if you're going to pull a pit strategy call, this may be the time, if at all, tonight to do it. Eric Brundy's leads these drivers down the pit lane. Right side tire's going to go up at a Kellogg's Ford Fusion. He's in the number 5 pit stall. Jeff Ford has the number 1 from the 3rd spot on the racetrack for getting the pole. Does he try something? 4 tires for the 94. Going to be 4 tires for all of the main race leaders. The 87 of Christopher Hurlow going to be the first driver off pit road. A 2-tire call for the Office Depot Chevrolet. He will go from 19th on the racetrack, Jacob, to 1st after he takes just right side tires.
And I'll go ahead and tell you right now why that is. He is one of the guys in the top 30 that needs a win to qualify for the chase, Evan. This is a driver who has watched all 3 of his teammates battle for wins and get the wins that they've needed to qualify for the chase grid. Christopher Herlo wants so badly to be the man who ultimately gets it done and pulls off a win. His teammate Corbin Himstreet won in one of the biggest races of the season at Indianapolis. Could the 87 replicate that feat tonight? He's got another guy who stays out in Brennan Mercer, and those two are going to be on the front row for the restart when we go back green. Lead change at lap 108. This is the first lap since lap 40 that Eric Brundys has not led tonight.
And I think that 29 staying out may be the worst news you could have for the 87 car, because Christopher Herlo, the right side tires, sure, they're going to be better than no tires, but they're not going to be much of a challenge for 4. And that entire row 2, especially with Eric Brundys there, is on the 4 tires. The number 99 machine actually slots up to 4th, and that's a 4-tire stop for Dylan Jones, who went from 8th to 4th with a really good pit stop. But with the 29 of Brendan Mercer leading this race, it looks like he may come down pit road, just walk away with the bonus point. If he stays out, it would have put Herlo on the outside, Jacob. That would have really given Brundys an advantage over the 87, over the 29 machine. Does elect to come out, take that one bonus point, come back down. So this would put Christopher Herlo in that control car position. It's going to put Brundys to his outside, and who knows as well, because you could get Dylan Jones on the inside of Brundys. Those two could fight for second, and who knows, the 94 might get hung up by the 99, depending on how good of a restart Jones gets.
The catch is those two are teammates, Evan, and you got to wonder how much they're going to work together maybe to get around Herlo before they settle it themselves. I think we're about to find out. We're actually going to get the restart with 23 laps to go. Herlo needs a win to make it in the chase, and you know, he told me before the start of this race he was going to be gambling the next 2 weeks, just trying to steal one. He knows if he doesn't make it in the chase as a rookie, it's not the end of the world, but he's watched his 3 teammates do it. He wants to give Boomtown Sim a quarter of the chase grid. He is trying everything he can right now to make it happen, and we're about to see what he can do. A 2-tire call, could it lead to victory lane? We're about to find out as the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car takes the field into turns 3 and 4, makes the hard left turn to pit road, leaves the field in the hands of Chris Herlo. Here we go, green flag flies, he gets a great restart. Dylan Jones, Eric Brundys, they're battling for second. Brundys is going to slot in, get free, and we're going to be down to turn number 1.
And that's good news for the 94. The 99 had the run, dropped back in line, and that gives Eric Brundys a clear racetrack to his inside, to his outside, and try to get something at a corner 2 is where the run's going to be. Does he look to the bottom? No. He'll ride the bumper of the 87 down the back, peaks down low, thinks about it in 3.
He thinks about it. He's there. Can he pinch Herlo up into the wall off turn 4? No, he doesn't. He gets a little bit loose. Herlo hangs on to it. We are now 22 laps to go. Brundys falls back to car length. Dylan Jones in the Steel Timber Sports, number 99, back there in 3rd. Stroker races against Boomtown Sim at the front of the field. Dwayne Vincent's back there in 4th, but the eyes are on these front 3. Can Brundys get back to the point? Right now it's Herlo, your leader, trying to steal a spot in the chase for the championship. Here comes Brundys again in 4.
Tell you what, it took a lot of you-know-what for the number 94 to throw it there to the inside and 3 and 4 that first time. And we've seen these guys getting pushed up all race long. He didn't get to the door now and do it on the front end. Contact in 1 and 2. The 94 trying to give the 87 a love tap. They made contact. Contact behind now. Dylan Jones hard in the wall. 3 wide down low behind him. Look at Jeff Ward. He picks up 3 spots.
Battle for the lead, off turn number 4. Again, Brundys looks to the inside. Again, Herlo pitches it off turn number 4, uses the momentum to hold him off. 20 laps to go. Brundys trying to get him to use up those tires. He knows it's going to fall off eventually. Right now, though, Christopher Herlo is driving the race of his life to try and steal a spot on the chase grid. These are the storylines that championship seasons are made of, and this is what we're watching right now. 19 laps to go, and don't look now, but Jeff Ward's closed it in 3rd. One car spinning down the front straightaway to the inside.
Christopher Hurlo, they're going to be able to save it and hang on. The 87, I'm sure, wanted to see a caution. And now Hurlo up the outside wall, down in 1 and 2. He'll make slight contact. Does he get it again that time at a 2? But somehow still in front. Tell you what, he's doing a good job, Jacob, but I don't think he'll be able to hold on for another 18 laps in front of Eric Brundys. Brundys might give the 87 another shot because the longer he sits behind him, closer Jeff Ward gets, but Hurlo sideways. He'll hold the bottom. Brundys to the outside. The one they're side by side for the lead. The 87 slides up in front.
How did he hold on to that car to hold the lead? He forced Brundys to check up because he almost squeezed the 94 into the wall. Hurlo trying to make something happen, and Brundys in second trying to get a win, but at the same time, There's been a lot of rumors going around. Silly season has started in earnest, gentlemen, and there's a lot of rumors as to whether Eric Brundys may not be working a lot closer with the RCO Boomtown guys in 2016. Nothing decided yet, but you've got to wonder, could Brundys give him a hand here and maybe help him to a win? I know the defending champ wants those bonus points badly, but is there a point where maybe you do settle for second, Brian? If you know it's a situation where winning even those 3 bonus points may not be worth it to risk tearing up both these cars at the front of the field.
That is so hard to do as a driver, especially when you've had the dominant car that Eric Brundys has had tonight. I don't know that you're going to see him just sit there and allow Christopher Hurlo to win. I don't think you'll see him take any risks to go after him and maybe cause an accident between these two, but I don't think you're going to see Eric just sit behind him for the next 15 laps. He's been trying since the restart to get around him, and I don't think you're going to see him stop, and he can't afford to stop. He's got Jeff Ward right on the back bumper of him. Also, Dwayne Vincent's there. He's still looking for his first win of the season, so you've got 3 or 4 very hungry drivers right behind Christopher Hurlo, and let's not forget Christopher Hurlo's trying to earn his way into the chase. All of these guys in the top 5 are hungry. Eric Brundys to the bottom for the lead here as they go through 3 and 4.
He's gotten loose every time he's tried to do this. He can't make it happen. He washes back into second. Hurlo almost into the wall. Jeff Ward looking to the inside. That's the battle for second. That's going to be a saving grace to the 87 to turn 1. Now Ward to the bottom takes that runner-up spot away. Gives Hurlo a little bit of room to breathe.
And if that 94 was cutting a break to the 87, that is now gone. Huge run down the back. Here goes Jeff Ward to the inside of the racetrack. He made it 3 wide from 5th to get 3rd. Now going for the race lead, but again, the inside not going to be enough. He'll fall to 2nd and stay there and locking down the front straightaway. This is what the 94 knew was the possibility. The longer he stayed behind the 87, Jacob, the more shots the number 89 to Jeff Ward got. Ward got there. He's in 2nd. And a 94 going to have a problem with just one of those guys. If anything, he
Ward tags the wall off too. He hangs on to it, Evan, but and it's one of those moments where I don't want to jump on you, but at the same time, that right rear quarter of Jeff Ward just washed up into the safer barrier, and it scrubbed off a little bit of speed, this time by 12 laps to go for Hurlo.
And that was a big saving grace for 94 because the 89 was pulling away, and that 94 just started to lose ground before the 89 got sideways. Now, though, Jeff Ward back on it, looking to the inside. He doesn't have the run that he needs. Will he force the issue? Looks to the bottom, jumps back in line, all over the left rear of the 87, and Brundys all over him as well. Somehow these guys still going at it. 11 laps to go. There's contact for the top 2.
He's trying to use up that left rear is what he's trying to do. He's trying to wiggle him up without wrecking him and break his momentum down the front straightaway, Evan. It's a veteran move. 10 laps to go. You've got to wonder if Hurlo wins this race, this shakes up the entire chase grid. I mean, you've got guys like Chad Cole, Brennan Mercer, Steve Gottschalk, who are so close to chase spots right now, and Hurlo could upset the entire apple cart tonight. 10 to go.
We've talked many a time in the last couple of weeks about guys getting their first wins, and if not in their careers, but also in this 2015 season. And the majority of those names have come out of that RCO Boomtown Sim camp. Can they continue the streak of momentum they've had? And if they can do it here tonight, not only does that again make it all of those cars being able to get the job done, but again, they're peaking at the right time. They're going to carry that into the chase. The 89, though, doesn't want to let it happen. Jeff Ford, 13 degrees sideways out of the corner to the inside, though. Can he force the issue on the left rear, side by side? Trying to get there. The car just too loose down low. He'll lose his momentum. Brundys gets to close. Brundys can't go to the bottom. Dwayne Vincent tries it. He nearly wrecks. And Comstock halfway to the inside wall makes the pass.
This is good. What may be the saving grace for Herlo is a caution because they may all wreck behind him. He leads it with 8 laps to go. He's held them off for almost 20 laps now. Ward almost gives him a shot in one, but Herlo just doing everything he can. Lap 126, Herlo playing defense. He's making that car almost 3 lanes wide.
Comstock going to fall back to 6th. He was halfway down to the inside wall, making a pass there on the way in Vincent. He'll slide back up behind the 13 who sits in 5th, just in front of Anthony DeBarro, but we saw the 14 of Comstock run second for so long in this race, and eventually those tires hit a cliff. How much is left underneath that 87 machine into the final few laps? Figure we're a caution down, not just the scenario that buys him time, but could end this race as we close in on that point. Going to be just about 6 laps to go this next time by. Jeff Ward knows that that's coming. He's in the fence again. The 89's there.
89 is there. Oh, Thomas George sideways, nearly gives it up. Ward is looking. We've got 6 laps to go here at Darlington. Christopher Herlo trying to do the unthinkable. Jeff Ward trying to deny him. It's a car length difference, and Ward nearly taps the wall.
And Ward sideways again. He's caught the fence a couple of times tonight, but he's pushing it that much harder. You got to think he's going to be getting a little bit more close and close. What the 87 wants to see is he wants Brundys to start challenging with the 89. Brundys had one opportunity to go to the inside on Jeff Ward. Wasn't able to do so because Dwayne Vincent went to the inside on him. If Brundys can take some of the attention away from the 89, it may give Herlo just a little bit of a gap that it needs to, but Jeff Ward still there. Here's a big run down. He'll go side by side down to 3.
He will, and this could be the move. Can he get all the way clear? No, he can't. Herlo gets a little sideways. Ward is there. Can he hold the momentum? Ward just can't hold it down on the bottom. They're side by side to the line, and here comes Brundys. Up the outside, it's just 5 laps to go.
The 87 caught the fence in 3 and 4. The inside, though, can't get it done. Jeff Ward sideways, and this is going to be the biggest gap the 87 has had in the last 15 laps, as Ward will fall about 4 car lengths off. Already closes it back into 3 in the corner, catches the wall.
Ward in the wall.
He overdrove it. 94 to the inside. There they go.
There it is. Caution flag flies, and Christopher Herlo's going to come to the line and steal the win at Darlington, because this is going to end it. They wreck racing for second behind him. He does the unthinkable. He steals the win, and if he comes around under caution to complete just 3 more laps, it's over. Replay right now. Ward and Brundys wrecked racing for second behind him. Unbelievable.
And it was Jeff Ward's best run that set him up for that incident. Side by side all the way through 3 and 4 in corners, number 3 and 4 back on lap 129. And because of that, Brian, he wasn't flying in with momentum. He was even with the 87, ducked below those white hash marks, got so loose that he found himself at a 3 or 4 car length disadvantage. And that's the furthest he had been back for that entire last 15 laps. And it forced him to overdrive it with just 3 laps to go the next time by, and it eventually ended his night.
Yeah, that was just an incredible battle up here for the battle for the lead, and for Jeff Ward and Eric Brundys and the rest of these guys. It's a very depressing ending to this race for those guys, especially Eric Brundys. For the 2nd year in a row, he had the best car. He easily led the most laps of this race, and he's going to come home no better than 9th unless we have a couple of these guys fall out of the race, as Dwayne Vincent could potentially fall out of this race. He has got a blown motor and is just trying to coast around right now. It looks like the iRacing simulation would score Dwayne Vincent in 2nd, so if he can finish the last 2 laps of this race, even though his car is destroyed, you could see him get a top 2 finish after that big wreck. So a big night for your points leader. He needed this because he's still trying to make his way into the chase. He certainly wanted the victory, but I think he'll take a 2nd place with 1 race left.
I would imagine he would, Brian. And this is a moment. I just keyed up the radio a minute ago, and the Boomtown guys are going absolutely mental right now. This is a celebration the likes of which they didn't even think possible here as we started this season. You know, these guys, Anthony DeBarro and Christopher Hurlow, who DeBarro finishes 4th tonight, they came in, they didn't even race the first segment this year. They came in at segment 2, didn't think there was a prayer to get those 2 cars in the chase. And now RCO Boomtown Sim, Evan, has just upset the apple cart and is going to put 4 cars on the chase grid.
And they're doing it at the right time in the season. They came in hot and heavy, had a lot of close calls, but the last month or two, these guys have really picked it up a notch. And when you're running strong races and you have fast race cars week in and week out, things go your direction. And although it'll end under the caution flag and you'll take a look at it and it'll seem like Christopher Hurlow got away easy on that one, I'll be honest, I didn't think that was going to work for more than 5 laps, but somehow he goes nose to nose with some of the biggest guys in this series,
and
holds
gets it
them
done.
off, goes side by side with them with maybe an inch to his right and an inch to his left, doesn't lift, sticks in it, and right now he'll come and he'll finally get that job done in a hell of a performance.
This is a performance for the ages, and it's a win that will go down as one of the most incredible underdog performances in RSR history. Christopher Hurlow is an RSR Full Throttle Cup Series winner in just his first season and gives RCO Boomtown Sim their 4th car on the chase grid. Jeff Ward gives him a tap. I heard Jeff say over the radio, I don't know how you held him off, but what a drive. And for Christopher Hurlow, that is a win. Brundys came and shot him into the fence. I'm not sure if that was a congratulatory love tap or what exactly that was, but either way, it's a win that this young driver will never forget, Brian. I know, you've had first wins in other series, and you remember them. This is a moment that he will keep close to him for a long, long time to come.
Yeah, this is an incredible track to get your first win at as well.
History.
It's an amazing track to get a victory at, and for Christopher Hurlow to get your first win at is incredible. Your first win's always memorable, but when you do it at this track and do it in the fashion that he did, he didn't have the best car all night. He didn't go out there and lead a lot of laps. He used a strategy, a 2-tire strategy to get the lead, and then used the ability to hold off these guys in the last 25 laps. And we know how difficult it is to pass, and certainly any one of those drivers, being Eric Brundys or Jeff Ward, they could have just went in there and tried to scoot him out of the way and maybe send him up into the wall, but they chose to do it the more respectful manner, and they raced him clean. They tried to get by him cleanly, and unfortunately they couldn't. But what an incredible finish for Christopher Hurlow here. He's going to get his first win. He's in the chase, and now he has a chance to win the championship. That's the bigger picture here. He has a chance to go out there and help RCO Boomtown take the championship this year, so I'm sure he's excited in more than one way here tonight.
Absolutely right, and we're going to hear from the young rookie coming up. He's going to take a victory lap here at Darlington and burn it down. He's earned the right. It's his first career RSR Full Throttle Cup Series win, and we'll hear from him right after this. You're watching LSRTV from Darlington Raceway, a thrilling Southern 200, the LSRTV post-race show right after this.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska, We run over 120,000 miles per month in some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back to LSRTV and the LSRTV post-race show right now going on. Christopher Hurlow gets his first career RSR Full Throttle Cup Series win. We're going to get the reaction right now. First, we're going to go trackside and hear from the two drivers who crashed, racing for second on the final couple of laps. First, Evan Pasoko, I'm going to throw it down to you. I believe you've caught up with one of the two drivers who was racing for second. That's Steel Horse Racing entry, the 89 of Jeff Ward.
Yeah, we've caught up with Jeff Ward down on the pit lane, who, when it's all said and done, that 89 is going to come home with a P5 in all of this one. But it looked like about 2, 3, maybe even 4 times he was just about clear. Just couldn't hold that Kodiak Chevy down on the bottom and complete the pass. Jeff, I'll congratulate you on the top 5. We know it's not what you wanted. Fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying. Wanted to sweep the evening. Tell us about that battle, though, with Christopher Hurlow. Got to the inside a couple of times, and the car just wouldn't stay underneath you.
Yeah, Evan, that's a crazy night for us right there. That was a great battling with Chris. I gave it everything I had. It was so hard to pass on the bottom, and just pretty much wore my stuff out. And he drove his butt off, and hats off to him. He definitely deserves that. I know how hard he works, and that's just awesome. See them win. If I couldn't get it, then it's good to see him get it. But yeah, we just there at the end we grazed the wall. I hate it for the guys that got caught up in that. I grazed the wall, and it kind of caused a chain reaction back there. And I think a couple good cars got involved. But yeah, we gave it all we had, and like I said, congrats to Chris there.
You guys had those battles a couple of times, and at the end there, we were really talking about the 87 and the 94, and for the most part, the 94 running away with this race at one point. 87 car stays out, and he comes out with just those 2 tires. Brendan Mercer looked like he was going to stay out, goes down, so we didn't think the 87 was going to be able to do it. We knew it was going to take a lot of driving to be able to do so, but that 89 machine of yours, although you really didn't fall off of the battle for the lead, we're back a little bit more than we would have expected there for about the last 3/4 mark in that race until really late. You went 3 wide, was able to get around the 94 car, got to second. Do you feel like maybe if you didn't have to make such of a charge there after that final restart, you would have had a better shot, or was that outside lane just a little bit too hard there at the end to be able to overcompensate for?
Yeah, Evan, we kind of got mired back in traffic there a little bit. We took an early pit stop, so pretty much fighting our way back the first half of that race. And when we got up there, we had a great car. I was just kind of watching Eric and Thomas saving my stuff, and I didn't really want to see that caution come there with about 30 to go. I think we would have been in good shape. But I wouldn't trade it for nothing. Besides the guys that got caught in the wreck, I loved racing Chris there, and the outside there at the end was the ultimate spot to be. So yeah, what a night, man! That was a blast.
You guys put up a fight for it, still able to come home with a P5 tonight, so that'll add to the top 5 and then as well the top 10 tally on the year. You guys have that win. There's no concern. You guys really get back into the action here in just about 2 or 3 weeks. One more race, though, before we do go. Full Throttle Cup Series Chase Racing going to be at Richmond following our off week next week. You excited for going racing at Richmond under the lights for the final race of the regular season?
Yes, sir. Always love going on short tracks and heading in the chase here. We're coming up with a little bit of speed here all of a sudden. So hopefully we can keep it going and going into this thing looking strong.
A strong run tonight and possibly a race-winning car tonight. Jeff, sponsors and shout-outs, all those good people. Throwback car on the machine tonight. Who makes it happen?
Yeah, we got the Kodiak throwback car, and that's another thing. I thought them cars looked awesome out there tonight. That was really kind of a step back in time. But just friends and family, still horse racing. Real sim racing, and LSRTV.
All right, Jeff, well, thanks for sticking around and taking a moment to chat with us again. Congratulations. I know it's not exactly what you wanted, but another hell of a performance, and you guys have a lot of momentum going on into this championship. Enjoy your off week. We'll see you in 2 Mondays.
Will do. Thanks, guys.
And again, Jacob, that the driver that was second looked like it may have been a win coming for the 89, trying to get number 2, ends up coming home in 5th. In all of this, what a driver that he was battling with for many of the late race in that one, and looked like the driver may have been on track for, again, if not a win, if not at least a podium. Eric Brundys has to settle for a 9th at the end of the day, and you're down with him.
Yeah, I am, and he was battling for second with Jeff Ward in the final laps of this one, battling for a win with Christopher Hurlow as well. Had a run on him, I think I counted 5 times, Eric, in the final laps, and it just looked like you didn't quite have the bite on the bottom of the racetrack to get it done. And I could tell how hard you were sawing the wheel, fighting, trying to keep from running him into the fence. I mean, how difficult was that battle that you and Christopher put on in the final laps of that race to not touch the way you guys did for almost 25 straight laps?
Yeah, first fight, I think we got in the wreck there at the end. The 89 came off the wall, but can't be mad at him. It wasn't his fault that such outrageousness happened at the front there. I don't know. He wasn't fast all race, and he just took the 2 tires and used strategy, which I guess he did the right thing, because at Darlington you can't pass regardless. So, most people would have wrecked him pretty quick, but Jeff and I are both pretty clean racers, so we raced him clean, so he had that going for him, because otherwise he probably would have ended up in the fence. So
for you led so much of this race, led almost 70 laps straight from lap 41 on, and until Chris took the lead from you there on that pit strategy. Were you shocked at 2 tires being able to hold the lead on the high lane? Were you shocked that you couldn't get any better of a run on the bottom than you could there, fighting him there in the closing stages?
a little bit, and it wasn't helping. I guess it was warp. I was showing him hitting the wall like every corner, and it wasn't scrubbing any speed off. So I don't know if it was just on my end or what it was, but I don't know. It's just crap, This team is just kind of, well, they just kind of, I don't know. They kind of just think they run the show now, and I got news for them.
I know you're ready to make championship run. We head to your house coming up in a couple of weeks at Richmond. You're going for 4 in a row there. Is that where you get it on track and go for a couple more bonus points before we head into the chase?
Maybe. 2 tires there. It's too wide. You can't hold a guy off like that at Richmond. So we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of liking the championship field we had set already. But, if they keep racing like that, they're not going to win it anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Who makes it happen, Eric? Sponsors, supporters, shout-outs?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few of them. Thanks.
Eric Brundys very disappointed. A tough break tonight for that 94 team, and as we move forward, actually going to throw it up pit road. Brian Macklin, let's move to the podium finishers, shall we? You've got David Comstock.
David Comstock, driver of the number 14 Monster Energy Chevrolet. You had an up and down night. You started off up towards the front. You got contact with the wall. You fell back through the field, and then you had a front row seat for what was a wild 25-lap shootout to the finish. And David, what was your perspective going through that last 25 laps? And did you think you had a shot to win the race, or were you just kind of sitting there waiting for something to happen?
I think the way the passing, the ability to try to pass, it was more so just wait for somebody to make a mistake and then try to capitalize on it if you're in good position for it. I felt if we were able to get toward the front, because we were with Hurlo on old tires, he was holding the guys back pretty good. We caught up to him from a little bit ways back, and we couldn't pass. We tried a couple times making moves when guys had issues, but it's so tough to pass on the bottom. So we got fortunate with that crash. We were able to slow up enough to not get ourselves turned around or anything and just weave our way through it and come out with third.
Yeah, and an incredible third place finish that was. And looking forward, you have one race left until the chase begins. That's in 2 weeks at Richmond. And obviously we know you're going to go out there and try to win that race and get 3 more bonus points towards that first segment of the chase. But as we head into the chase, how do you feel you stand as a championship contender? Do you feel like you have a pretty good shot at winning the championship this season, or is there stuff that you feel you need to work on if you're going to go up there and have a shot at it?
I feel we have a great opportunity to go for the championship. I mean, we've been solid every single week for the most part, other than maybe a couple tracks here and there. But I feel confident going in the chase. A lot of the tracks I like and I'm really good at. So we'll go out and have fun one more week, and then it's down to business.
Down to business it is. And before we let you go and get ready for that race in Richmond, I just want to give you an opportunity to do your little sponsor shout outs and any plugs you want to make before we let you roll.
Absolutely. We'd like to thank Gary Mercer Trucking and Monster Energy for being on board every week, and Timmy Hill Motorsports and Aftermath Motorsports, the main team I'm out of, for letting us come over here and do this, and JD Laird for painting my cars every week. And thank you guys at LSRTV for broadcasting the races here, and the guys at Real Sim Racing that run a great format and league for us to come to every week. Thank you to those guys too.
All right, thank you, David. That was your third place finisher, driver of the number 14 Monster Energy Chevrolet, David Comstock. And now we're moving a little bit further down pit road, where Evan Pasoko has caught up with a driver who had to coast his way home to a second place finish. You've caught up with Dwayne Vincent.
It'll be a second at the end of the night. For the most part there late in the race, he was running in 4th position. We've caught up with Dwayne Vincent, who comes home in 2nd place tonight. Dwayne, that really quickly went from you looking up at that really spirited fight for not only 2nd but also for the lead. That went very quickly from an IMAX movie to one of those real 3D ones, because contact in front of you in 3 and 4. You got hit from the side, you got hit from behind, and you crossed the line in 8th. Engine damage and all. Sim lets you get back up to 2nd. You were shutting the thing off there to coast across the line, and again you bring that 13 machine home in 2nd. The most points you can get without getting the first win in 2015. So we know you really badly want to get the job done here. We talked to you earlier on in this race as our in-race reporter that tonight could have very well been a place to do so. Another strong points run, but really, what was those final 25 laps like from behind the wheel?
Man, that was some of the most intense racing I've ever been involved in. That was it was great. It really was. That was I'm wore out. The guy, I think it's Chris. He did a hell of a job on 2 tires. He did what he had to do. Hated to see what happened to Brundy's and Ward. They both ran a real good race, but we're happy with 2nd. We'll take it.
You guys walk away with another solid finish, and the big story recently has been the RCO Boomtown guys being so strong and having momentum, getting wins, getting them now all 4 of their cars into this championship. For you, the momentum has never really gone away, and you know, with an average finish still of a 10.4, which is still best out of any driver in this 2015 season. So although it's not a win after win for you guys in the 13, you're consistently having tonight what was a Haviland Ford up in contention. You count that as just about equal amount of momentum going forward, because we just have 1 race left, and now you're going to look for a championship in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, you know, we just keep trying to do the same thing all year long. I keep telling myself a win will come, but you know, if you stay around the top 5, just run consistent, they'll come. But yeah, I mean, if you want to call it momentum, I guess so. We'll take the 2nd place into Richmond and see what happens.
Tonight it was very difficult to pass here at Darlington Raceway, and with one race left, you're going to have a 5-point advantage at the top of the championship standings. You go to Richmond. Richmond, a small track. It's close quarters, much like Darlington, but it's a completely different nature. You feel like maybe you can really call it momentum there, get a win in 2 weeks' time at Richmond. What's your confidence level going into our final short track race and final race, for that matter, on the regular season under the lights?
It's going to be tough. Richmond's a fun track, but yet it's a very, very tough little track. You get bunched up with a bunch of other cars. You better have trust in these guys. But we're going to do a lot of practicing here over the next 2 weeks. Take a few days off, but hopefully go into Richmond prepared and hopefully make it into the chase, at least on points if we don't get a win there. But we're going to try like hell.
You guys looking good at the moment on the points-wise for getting into this 2015 championship, Dwayne. Another solid finish. You'll add to the top 5 total. It'll be number 12. It'll be your 16th top 10. And as always, who powers the number 13 machine?
Oh, all you guys. I'd like to thank all you guys at LSRTV, everybody at RSR for all that they do, Mom and Dad for watching at home, and that's about it. We appreciate it.
We appreciate you for sticking around. And we talked to a lot of people here tonight after the race because there was a whole lot going on. And again, you had just as good, if not a better view on all of it than we did. You come home second tonight, another strong finish. Congratulations. Enjoy your Labor Day off week. We'll see you in 2 Mondays for the final race in the regular season.
Yep. Thank you. We'll see you.
And again, that the driver that comes home in second tonight, Dwayne Vincent, starts from 12th, comes home bridesmaid in tonight's race at Darlington. Going to pass things on now to Gatorade Victory Lane. Jacob Seelman, you have cut out with, I'm sure, a very ecstatic 87 to Christopher Hurlow. Had to fight and scrap for it, but he got the job done.
We made him wait for it. He's getting out of the car now. And how about the celebration? We're going to kick it off. Christopher Hurlow, a winner for the first time in his RSR Full Throttle Cup Series career. The crew chief on the box made the call with about 25, 26 laps to go, 2 tires under caution at that point. Are you thinking there's any way that you can hold everybody at bay for that stint all the way to the finish? Did you even think at that point that this was feasible?
No, not at all. Definitely with 2 tires there, it was a handful. We really had to drive our asses off to stay up front. Liam made a great call. And, I'm on board. I told him before the race even started that I needed to win a race and I'm willing to gamble for it. So that's what we did, and it worked out.
You lead the final 25 laps of this race to go to victory lane for the first time in your RSR Full Throttle Cup Series career. We'll get to what it means for the championship fight in a minute, but first, the history of winning at Darlington Raceway. This is one of the most historic tracks in the entire sport. You don the throwback Office Depot scheme, the scheme that Tony Stewart brought to the tiebreaker at Homestead in 2011 that gave him a championship. You were hoping for a little bit of luck tonight with a little bit of special happenings going on here at Darlington. How much does this win mean, and how big is it as far as the history at this racetrack to get a win as special as the one like this in the Southern 200?
It just means the world to me, Jacob. Darlington is such a huge track. In my eyes, I really respect it. It's an intimidating track. It's a really tough track. And of all places to get your first RSR Full Throttle Cup Series win, just means everything to me. I never would have thought that I would have came here tonight and won the race.
Let's talk about the battle for a minute, because first you had to hold off Eric Brundys in the 94, who got 4 or 5 different looks on you. Then Jeff Ward gets around the 94, and he peaks on you 3 or 4 times in the closing laps. On the bottom, there was one point where coming down the front straightaway, Jeff was dead even with you going into turn 1, and we thought maybe he would try to pull the slide job and get out in front of you. How did you find the momentum when you even tagged the wall at one point coming down the front stretch to hold him off, get back to the point, and never lose the lead? I mean, it was remarkable, because I think all 3 of you popped the wall 5 or 6 times towards the tail end of that one.
Yeah, I think the time it was all said and done, every single car hit the wall at least once or twice during this race. And if you were on the top, it was just extremely hard to make a pass down at the bottom. You barely have any grip down at the bottom, especially in 3 and 4. And we were just driving with all the heart and passion and what talent that we do have to try to stay ahead of Jeff and Eric there. I have to really give a lot of credit to Jeff Ward for just being very respectable and racing me the way he did. He could have bashed me into the wall, and the same goes for Brundy's. I really do appreciate that, and just means everything to me.
This win puts you on the chase grid, and in fact, you're 46 points ahead of 31st in the standings, which means that when you take the green flag at Richmond in 2 weeks' time, it's set. All 4 Boomtown Sim cars are going to be in the chase for the championship in the first full season as an organization. I mean, for you as a rookie, you didn't even run the first 8 races of the season. I mean, how big is this for you now to have a shot at something that coming into this you didn't even think was going to be possible at the beginning of the year?
It's huge. It's absolutely huge, and it's just breathtaking that all 4 cars have been able to win at Daytona, Indy, Darlington, and Watkins Glen. So to get all 4 of us into the chase, it just means everything to us and the team. We work really hard together, and we're all good friends on and off the racetrack. We all race each other with a lot of respect, and it shows out there on the cameras.
And the team principal just came over here to give some congratulations. Want to pull him in here for a minute. Corbin Hemstreet, tonight was not a fun night for you from a driving standpoint, but from the team management standpoint. You brought these 4 drivers, including yourself, together at the start of segment 2 and said, this is what we're going to do. And now you're looking on with a race to go. All 4 cars have a shot at this championship when Chris takes the green flag in 2 weeks at Richmond. How unbelievable is this from where this team started? I mean, it's the first full season as an organization.
Yeah, well, first of all, man, it's always a good day when one of my cars can get in victory lane. I'm super excited for Chris. Him and William made a great call there at the end, and Chris held on to make it work and beat a lot of guys. Sound like weren't too happy about getting beaten, but man, all 4 cars in the chase, that's absolutely huge. I'm ecstatic right now, Jacob.
It's a long day for you, but at the end of the day, this track being so tough, it's not indicative of what we're going to see in the chase. I mean, are you excited about the chances for this team going down the stretch, knowing the speed you guys have had in this last 2 months?
Well, there's a long way to go, but as long as we keep doing what we've been doing, using our heads, I think, I think we have a couple cars in those final 4, hopefully.
All right, Chris, I'll turn back to you because I know how many people went into making tonight possible, and you want to make sure to go all the way down the list for this because, as we said at the checkered flag, it's a night that will stick in your career for a long time to come. But sponsors, shout-outs, you finally get to be here and say it. Who makes it happen for Christopher Hurlow?
Jacob, I got to thank you for coming on board with this team and just helping us get to the racetrack on and off. Performance Motorsports Network, got to thank all my teammates, Corbin Hemstreet, Mitch Rollo, Jared Como, and Anthony DeBarro. All 4 of them are just amazing people to be around. I have to thank my wife that stands by me, and she believed in me. She really believed in me that we were able to go out there and win in these next 2 races. I have to thank my mom and dad that tune in daily, or nightly, should say. And I have to thank Jeff Ward and Eric Brundy's, for racing me extremely clean. They could have, like I said earlier, they could have bashed me into the wall, but they didn't do that. They chose to be clean, and we tried to race extremely clean with them too. So all those people are just absolutely just amazing people and sponsors. This is just a dream come true to win at Darlington.
I want you to stand here in Gatorade Victory Lane and savor this for a minute because this moment, I know you're hoping it's going to be repeated, but the first one, you only get to do it once, Chris. You, my friend, are a Full Throttle Cup Series winner. Let that sink in. Congratulations. It's at Darlington.
Thank you, Jacob, and thank to everybody up there in the booth that I'm sure we put on a pretty good show for you. Darlington, woo!
It was a fantastic show up in the booth. And speaking of those guys, I want to throw it back upstairs because Evan Pasoko and Brian Macklin have results. And that guy on top of them, Christopher Hurlow, a winner here at the Lady in Black.
He was 18th in practice, qualified 23rd, and wins this race. And it's going to be by 2/10 over Dwayne Vincent, ends under the yellow flag, but 20 laps, just about the number that he had to hang on to it to take this win. He went it over top of Dwayne Vincent and David Comstock through the top three, and Anthony DeBarro, Jeff Ward through the top five. Got all of the post-race reaction from those drivers, and a mix of emotions from the top to the bottom between those drivers. Sixth position comes to Dylan Jones, who came back late in this race after starting in 24th. We went to the second highest, biggest movers to Christopher Hurlow in this race. Rich Rollo does come home with the 7th after starting on the inside of row 2. Behind him, Matt Lacrosse at 8th. Eric Brundies settles for 9th after running in a podium spot with just 3 laps to go. And Nicholas Cohan will round out our top 10. Quietly sneaks into a top 10 spot after starting in 20th, Brian.
Yeah, very quietly, and has a solid finish there in the 10th place. 11th goes to Chad Cole after a very up and down night for him. He was involved in a couple of accidents and managed to come back with a decent finish. Sean Boundy is going to come home 12th. Scott Stenzel is going to finish 13th. He was in the wall a few times tonight as well. Jonathan Cadell finishes 14th. Scott Simley is going to finish 15th. Joey Gattina is going to finish 16th. Steve Gottschalk is going to finish 17th. Brennan Mercer, who's still trying to get his way into the chase on points, he's going to finish 18th. Hopefully that's enough points to help him out there. Rich Jett is going to finish 19th. And rounding out the top 20, Greg Evans, your winner last week, he's going to finish 20th. A very disappointing finish for him, I do believe.
And continuing on through the field in this one, a 21st position for Thomas George, Corbett Hemstreet in 22nd, a 23rd for David Washington, 24th to Doug Roth, Dan Murray, the final car on the lead lap, comes home in 25th. It's 1 lap to the negative for the P26 car. That's the 25 of Nick Silver. He'll finish just in front of the 03 of Thomas Lattimore, 27 laps off. And everybody from here on out does finish this race either in the garage or on the hook. It was a 28th for Sean Casto, Brian Harvey, and a 29th. The rounding out your top 30 was Kevin Linden, Daniel E. Eberhardt, Ryan Vaughn through 32nd. 33rd was Douglas Wyatt, and Paul Fugate rounds out your 34 car field.
What a night. Evan, I know we're going to take a lot away from this, but what do you take away from a crazy night in Darlington that we thought we knew how it was going to play out until lap 108 went up on the board?
Yeah, no kidding. This race, it looked like it was decided. And, all we said all night long was it's so hard to pass at Darlington. And, you catch somebody, but you might not be able to get around. And when you think it's hard to pass, you think of a very slow and boring race. It was controlled for the most part. We did see a couple of big wrecks. That's Darlington. Brian, I'm pretty sure your Darlington stripe count got up there pretty high as this night went on. But that finish, I didn't think the 87 was going to be able to get the job done just with the 2 tires and the guys behind him and not having that buffer. But it was extremely, exciting finish with that 87 machine, and he had to work for it. And I think the interesting thing about it is Darlington not only bent up some sheet metal, but it as well bent up some of the drivers' maybe emotions at the end of this one, which is something that you love. Close racing, some drivers love it, some drivers didn't like it. That's all part of the game, though.
Oh, and I have to say I really like the call that Christopher Hurlow made there at the end of this race, taking the 2 tires, taking the chance. He knew with 2 races to go, he had to go after it and try to get that win to get into the chase. And then as aggressive as he was on that last green flag run, he did everything that he needed to do. That's what this chase format does. It creates that kind of excitement and that kind of drama. You have drivers like that need that win to get in, and he did exactly what he needed to do. And now all 4 of the RCO Boomtown cars have a shot to win this championship. And having a quarter of the chase grid, a fourth of the chase grid, that's going to be a big help in their favor. It'd be interesting to see if they can get all 4 in the final 4 at Homestead. Then they would know going into that race they're going to have a championship in their team. And I'm sure that's what their goals are. And for the rest of these guys, they know they're going to have to step their game up. Granted, the RCO Boomtown cars were not at the front hardly at all tonight, but they were still the ones that ended up with the victory, and they showed that they can get the job done even when they're not contenders all night long. And this was just one night, but for the last 2 months, they've been the dominant team here in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. So these other guys, Dwayne Vincent and Thomas George, David Comstock, Eric Brundies, they've got some work to do if they're going to be able to dethrone these guys going into the chase. And I think they all know that, and they're prepared to step up and take that challenge on and go after it and try to win the championship.
They're trying to win a championship, but right now they're celebrating a win. From all of us at LSRTV, we want to say congratulations to Christopher Hurlow, who picks up his first RSR Full Throttle Cup Series victory and arguably the biggest win of his iRacing career here tonight in the Southern 200. He's a winner. Boomtown Sim puts 4 cars on the chase grid, and we'll be back at it to find out the other 12 at Richmond International Raceway in 2 weeks' time. It's one last race to make the chase, the Commonwealth Clash. It's all on the line. Until then, for Evan, Brian, and our executive producer, Laura Lawson, I'm Jacob Seelman, reminding all you race fans, keep it off the wall until we meet again. And we'll see you next time on the web. Christopher Hurlow, your winner at Darlington. We say goodnight from the Lady in Black.